Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to continue the topic of quality control. Okay. So since till last session we were discussing about quality control and SQC1. Now again, we'll continue the topic of the SQC1 and we'll continue the discussion. Basically, just a quick recap with respect to the previous session that what we were discussing. We were discussing various aspects of the SQC1. SQC1 provides details on the various aspects. For example, leadership responsibility for quality within the firm, ethical requirements. Then you have mandatory requirement for independence. So there were many requirements that were there as a part of SQC1, and we were looking on to those requirements. On the similar line, uh, what SQC1 does is over and above, these requirements, there are some more requirements which are there. There are some more requirements which are there. Okay. And, the way we saw leadership and ethical requirements, now we will be seeing acceptance and continuance of the client relationship. I have also prepared a kind of a summary which will help you guys if you want to revise at any point in time later on, so that it will be easy for you to understand or to go through the topic in shorter time duration. Just let me open that for you guys. Okay. So this is a summary, okay, that I was talking about. So as till now, we have seen about the leadership one, leadership responsibilities. We have seen about the independence requirements that is done. Now about the ethical requirement. Okay. Again, ethical requirement is something we need to understand from the point of view of what are the ethical requirements that the SQC1 requires. What detailed requirement that SQC1 says about ethical requirement basically. Now, for SQC1 says that for each area there should be policies and procedures that should be designed in such a way that it should provide reasonable assurance that its personnel comply with relevant ethical and other requirements that are mandatory in the area. Now, to understand this with a very interactive way, I would say, or in a story way, okay, let me present one good example, very good example, and then we can take the discussion further. Okay, let's say, for example, you have started your company, okay, ABC and Company Chartered Accountants. You have started your own company, ABC Chartered Accountants, and you have started providing the service to the various stakeholders. Okay, like you have started providing audit services, taxation services to the clients. Okay, now let's say, for example, when you have started providing various services to the clients, okay, there are few things or there are few questions that might come in your mind with respect to the ethical requirement. For example, when I say ethical requirement, what question might come in your mind is, whether whether are there any policies within my firm, whether are there any policies within my firm which helps me to comply with the code of ethics. Simple. I'll start with the code of ethics. Okay. So whether there are policies within my firm which help me to comply with code of ethics, or let's say for example, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, and you are the managing partner. Mr. C is tax partner. Mr. B is can say, let's say, audit partner, and Mr. A is also audit partner. Now Mr. B has three clients in his portfolio. Three clients in his portfolio: D Limited, E Limited, F Limited. Okay. Now he is doing audit of these three clients since last 7 years, 7 to 10 years, kind of. So there are chances in this scenario that Mr. B, might get familiar with the client, and if he might get familiar with the client, in that case, what will happen is familiarity threat will come into place. Okay. Familiarity threat will come into place. Okay. So is there any mechanism in your firm to identify such kind of threats, the threats we saw to fundamental principles? Do you have such mechanism in your firm to identify threats to fundamental principle? If yes, then what is that mechanism? How that mechanism is there? That is a very good question, and that is a question to be asked. Okay, that is a question to be asked. Now, when I say whether there is any mechanism, the answer should be yes. There are policies and procedures. And the moment you say policies and procedures, you talk about compliance with the SQC1. Okay, so SQC1 says that firms' policies and procedures should emphasize the fundamental principles which are reinforced by leadership of the firm, education, training, monitoring, a process for dealing non-compliance. Means you should create such a policies and procedures that you emphasize on the fundamental principles. Pretty simple. And the same we also discussed in the previous lecture also about fundamental principles, ethical requirements. Okay. Same, nothing different. Now, the next one is acceptance and continuance of client relationship. Acceptance and continuance of the client relationship. And why this area is again important, that is we need to understand. Same way, like for example, we were discussing this example. If Mr. B wants to continue the audit of F Limited, I need to check acceptance and client continuance. Okay. Why I need to check acceptance and client continuous? You tell me. Why I need to perform this procedure? Why I need to go and check whether I can continue with the client or not? Why do you think it is necessary? Come on, guys. Why do you think it is necessary? Why do you think? Why do you think it is necessary? Okay. Let me give you two more examples and then you tell me. Let's say, for example, you recently cleared CA final and became Mr. Your name, Mr. CA, your name, okay, whatever. So now you have become CA. Now your friend, let's say Mr. Subhash, has approached to you and he's asking, please do audit of my business and help me in preparing the books of account. What you will say to Mr. Subhash? Assume you are here, you became CA, recently cleared CA final exam. Now, Mr. Subhash, your friend, is approaching you that please help me with respect to the audit of my business and in preparing books of account. What you will do? What you will do? Will you say yes or will you say no? Will you say yes or no? Okay. Uh, there is one comment that in real life uh, and the thing we study both are different. And I tell you, that is an excuse that people make this excuse who don't want to follow these things. Okay, I'll tell you. Kind of negligent people who don't want to follow these things will say, okay, I can do audit and I can prepare books of account because in practicality things are different compared to what you are taught in for the exams. It is not the case. That code of ethics which is being taught right now is the thing which is applicable after the exam also once you become CA. The charter accountant act which you are taught right now is also applicable once you become a CA. So that is not an kind of thing that okay, now we are teaching you something and after the exam once you become CA things change totally. No, it's an excuse that people give that okay, we do not follow this in practical life what you are taught. Sorry. Good, Mohammed. Very good. Come on, guys. Whether you will be what you will say to your friend in the current scenario. What you will say to your friend? Yes, no. What? He is your best friend. Okay, good Prajwal, good. Okay, let's change the scenario. Okay, CA, you became CA. Now there's a client XYZ Limited. They have approached you for audit. Okay, you tell me what will you ask first from them before accepting the assignment. Good, Salish, very good. So let's say, for example, you became CA. Now, XYZ has Limited has approached you for audit. This is your first audit after becoming CA. The company has approached you. What you will ask with the let's say the director of the company is there with you, giving you proposal that okay, perform the audit for my company, perform the audit of my company. What you will say to them, or what questions you will ask? If they will say, okay, perform the audit of my company, will you say directly, okay, yes, 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 I'll perform the audit. I need the audit, I perform the audit. Or you will ask certain questions. Come on, guys. What you will do? Good Prajwal. Good Saravanan. Good Munish. Very good. Good Vimal. Come on, guys. You are getting your first client. And to ask something like, directly you cannot show that, okay, I'm available, I'll do everything for you. But you will ask certain questions. What questions those will be? Think of a practical life scenario. Good Selex, very good. What else? What else you will ask? So I have received few answers, but again, I want to emphasize like why we are discussing is somewhere it is linked that with our next topic that we are going to discuss. Good Charu, good Prajwal. So some are saying previous auditors details or current auditors detail. Good. Some are saying like uh, client they will understand client's business practice, client corporate culture, all the things. Some are saying policies, procedures, SOPs. Okay, what else you will ask from your client? What else you will ask? Good. Shruti, turnover. Good. Vimal, old work, work done by previous auditor and audit report. Good. Remember, so I'll tell you what I will ask. I will ask few things. Number one, who referred me, or how do you know me? I'll tell you why I'll ask this question. I'll ask this question to understand whether is XYZ or someone from within the XYZ is a related party to me. Whether, is someone related to me within the company or not. So to understand the relation between company and me, I will ask this question. This will give me a good clarity. Number two, I'll ask that, okay, who was the previous auditor and why you are looking for change. Usually, companies do not change their auditors unless and until there's a legal requirement to do so. So I will ask why who was the previous year auditor and why you are looking for change? Why you don't want to continue with that auditor? This will give me a clarity about change in the auditor circumstances that require the change in auditor. And that will lead to me to an area called integrity of client. Okay. The third question that I will ask is fees. How much you will pay me? The reason because I'll tell you why. Let's say today, if they say that okay, we will pay you only 10,000 rupees, will you accept? Let's say a hypothetical example, turnover 100 crores and fees rupees 10,000 for statutory audit. Will you accept? Frankly, will you accept? If I ask you turnover is 100 crores of the company and audit fee is only 10,000, will you accept? Okay, Sailesh, and why? Good Charu, good Munish. So why you, Sailesh, Charu, Munish, why you will not accept the same? What is the reason? Why not accepting? They are paying 10,000 rupees, good amount. Might be more than someone's stipend. Why you are not paying? Oh, accepting basically. Very good, Prajwal. Very good, Charu. So the cost to perform the audit will be more than that than the fees I'm getting. So when I say cost to perform the audit, I have to see my resources that are required on audit. Okay. I need to see about the resources that are required on the audit. If it is a 100 CR company, I need at least 4 people to perform the audit with me throughout the year. And the cost of 4 people, training of 4 people, and everything that I need to see about the 4 people, will that be sufficient? Will 10,000 be sufficient for that? Answer is no. Okay. Because a lot of work is required to be done, is required to be performed. Correct, Munish? Very good. Correct, Ramanan? So, in that case, basically, you see the difference, like what these questions makes a difference. Okay. for example, who referred to me talks about relationship. Who was the previous year auditor talks about the integrity of the client. Fees talks about the resource allocation. Okay. Same way, SQC1 says that in your firm, okay, in your firm, there should be some policies or procedures. Now, what regarding what? In your firm, there should be some policies and procedures with respect to acceptance of the client and continuance of the client relationship. So we will be talking about two things: acceptance of client and continuance of client relationship. So acceptance and continuance of client relationship along with and specific engagements. Kind of one-time engagements, and we'll see what are the specific engagement, but acceptance and continuance of client relationship. Now, what SQC1 says that the firm should establish policies and procedures for acceptance and continuance of client relationship and specific engagements. I usually call this particular big term as ANC, acceptance and continuance. Okay, so SQC1 says that the firm should establish policies and procedures for ANC, acceptance and continuance of client relationship and specific engagement, that should be designed in such a way that should be designed in such a way that it provides reasonable assurance. It provides reasonable assurance that the firm will undertake or continue relationships and engagement. Relationships and engagement only when the following conditions are satisfied. What are the following conditions? When, number one, the firm has considered integrity of the client. Second, the firm is competent to perform the engagement. And has the capabilities, time and resource to do so. And has capabilities, time, and resource to do so. Third, can comply with ethical requirement. If I can get satisfaction or I can get reasonable assurance on these three areas, then I can say, yes, I can accept the client and continue the client or engagement or relationship. Firm has considered the integrity. Firm is competent to perform the particular engagement, and firm can comply with the ethical requirements. The questions that we discussed. Now, SQC1 says you have to create a policy and procedures wherein you ask these questions, you gather this understanding, and then only after considering all this, you take your decision. Clear? Any doubts? Any doubts? So what SQC1 says we are already doing. You will ask question, but SQC1 says do in a more formalized way, more documented way, kind of. Okay. So who should create the policies and procedures? Firm. And it should be designed in such a way that it provides reasonable assurance that the firm will undertake and continue what kind of when they will when they need to see when the firm is ready to undertake and continue new clients or continue the old clients. And these are the mandatory conditions that are required to be looked into before accepting any new client or before continuing your old client. Now, what if you, okay, when you ask the client these questions, let's say, for example, in this scenario, when you asked the client, okay, XYZ, who referred you to me? Okay, so XYZ said, okay, fine, this person referred to me and you are not related. So you came to a conclusion, not related. And you can comply with the ethical requirements. So you can comply with the ethical requirements. Later on, what if your brother, let's say Mr. X, XYZ appoints Mr. X as director. He's your brother. Okay. What if later on Mr. XYZ appoints Mr. X as a director of the company? What you will do? What you will do in that case? What you will do in that case? Later on, Mr. X, your brother has been appointed director of the company. Now you are the auditor. You accepted the condition you accepted the client as an auditor. Good, Munish. Very good. Come on, guys. What you will do? Good, Charu. Good, Yukta. Good, Prajwal. Most of you are answering, I will withdraw, I will resign. None of you have given the answer, like, I'll ask my brother to withdraw, not to be the director. So, very good. That's good. Come on, quickly. Any other option? Any other thing that you guys will do? Okay. So, there are two options. Either you will ask yourself, okay, I need to step down, or either you will ask your brother to step down. So, one of you has to resign. Now, which one it will be, that will be mutually decided. That is fine. But, but whatever you will do, SQC1 says, please document this. Please document this. What to document? SQC1 says that if you obtain information later on, okay, later on, that if you would have obtained that information before accepting an engagement with the new client, or deciding to continue whether with an existing engagement, or whether to continue with the existing client, okay, in that case, that how you resolve when you identify the issue, even at the time of accepting, okay, if you identify the issue, then how you resolve the issue, that you need to document. On the similar lines, I'll say how the firm how the firm has resolved the issue, and how they reached to a conclusion that they can accept the client or engagement. So that is kind of the documentation required along with this. Okay, documentation required in case of when you identify an issue, or how you come to a conclusion that you can accept the client or continue the client. Clear? Any doubt? No? Okay, I give you one question, and you tell me whether, what do you think that you could perform in the scenario? Okay, you, after seeing TA, decided to accept the appointment as an statutory auditor for XYZ Limited. Okay. However, being your first client and in order to comply with requirements of SQC1, you wish to understand you wish to understand that how to validate, that how to verify, or you can say how to evaluate the integrity of the client before accepting the client and the engagement. Kindly list down kindly list down the matters that would be necessary to consider, that would be uh, necessary, or that would be required to consider the same. So you need to provide some examples of the matter that you will consider in order to validate, the basically integrity of the client. Okay. Now, why I am asking this reason, because see, we have a requirement that we discussed just now. We have a requirement that we discussed just now, that okay, we are required to see the integrity of the client. Where here it was. First, the firm has considered integrity of the client. Now, these are not only restricted to the books, but there is some background to this. And these are the activities that are required to be performed. So, if you have to perform this activity, then how will you perform? If I say, okay, check the integrity of the client, how you will check? For the purpose of, just understanding for the exam or writing in the exam, okay, I have written that I need to check integrity of the client. But in actual, how? What you will do? That you need to tell me. Tell me with some examples, like how you will check integrity of the client. Come on, guys, with examples. Quickly. How you will check the integrity of client. Quickly, guys. How will you check the integrity of the client? Check the list of directors and KMP about them from friends and social media. Okay, by asking questions. Very good. Okay, but what questions you will ask? But what questions you will ask? Come on, guys. What questions you will ask? That we need to understand. Come on quickly, guys. What questions you will ask? See, it's not just, a thing to understand for the purpose of books. No, it is not the case. We have to, in real life, ask these questions. We need to consider the integrity of the client by forming some, procedures, by asking some questions, and we need to understand what are those questions and procedures. Otherwise, we will not be able to understand the requirement. Come on, quickly. Okay, something about loan. Good, Prajwal. Good, Monish, about the default. Civil criminal cases. Good, Monish. AAA&Ps. Okay, good. Prajwal. Communicating with previous auditor. Good. Charu. Good, Yukta. Previous engagement details. Why they are changing the auditor. Remuneration. Kind of, yes, good. Okay. Reason for default in statutory payments. Okay. So let us see with example what is the requirement, like what could be the examples here. Okay. So when I say few examples, like for example, with regard to integrity of a client, matters that the firm considers include, okay, first one is the identity, business reputation of the client's principal owners, key managements, related parties, and those charged with governance. Again, important point is the reputation of the client's principal owner or key management. So, what is the reputation of the client in the market? How the client is known in the market? Okay, whether they are known for the good reasons, whether they are known for the bad reasons. Sorry, why? What is the reason for their reputation is also very important to understand. The identity that they have created in the market. Second, the nature of client's operation, including its business practices, like what kind of businesses is client operating, business practice, and all those stuff. Third, information concerning about the attitude of the client's principal's owner, attitude, that how clients principal owners or clients management board of directors, those charges governance have the attitude. Or when I say attitude, you can say kind of a tone at the top. Okay, what is the tone at the top of the management? Okay, towards such matters as an aggressive interpretation of the accounting standards and the internal control environment. Means how they are implementing the policies, procedures, how much they are aggressive. Aggressive in the sense, kind of you could say that how forcefully they are, adopting or implementing things within the organization. I could be a scenario. Let's, for example, there is one accounting policy that management created, which is very complex and difficult to implement. In that case, if the management still forces to implement the policy without giving a deadline or a crossover deadline kind of, okay, by this period's end or this date's end, you uh, scale out the implementation of the old policy and start implementing the new policy. Without doing that, they just say, okay, from tomorrow, new policy, everyone has to obey the new policy, 100% compliance required. So how much aggressive they are? Whether the client is aggressively concerned with maintaining firm's fee low as possible. Okay, I'll not give you more. I'll not give you 10,000. I'll only give 6,000. Indications of an appropriate limitation on the scope of work. Like, for example, you say, okay, no, we have this much work, we have this much work, and they say, no, don't do data, don't do creditors, charge me a less fee that I will see myself. So kind of, aggressively concerned with maintaining firm's fee low, and if there is any inappropriate action or indication with respect to the limitation in the scope. Then we have indication that the client might be involved in money laundering or other criminal activities. So whether the client is involved in any money laundering or other criminal activities, if yes, then we need to consider that also. Then the reasons for the proposed appointment of the firm and the non-reappointment of the previous firm. Why you are not appointing a previous auditor? Why you are changing the auditor? What is the reason behind that? This is the main concern. Everything is okay, but why you are changing now? What happened? So that these are certain examples which will give you insight about the client's integrity. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubts? So it is not just like that we have to comply everything on books, but these things are very important also with respect to when you want to understand, when you want to look into the matter. Same way. Let us see one more question on the similar lines. Let us see a similar question. One more question on the similar lines. Just a minute. Sorry. Just a minute. Okay. Similar question. Let's say, for example, the way we discussed about the integrity, how will you identify or how will you understand whether the firm has capability, competency, time, and resource to undertake new engagement? Okay. So now I'm asking you to consider the capabilities, competencies, and time and resource to undertake the new engagement. What matters you will think about? What discussions you will have, and what will be the scenarios, like not a scenario kind of thing, but some examples of the matters that you might think. Come on, guys. What matters you will think if you would, if you wish to, think about the competency and capability of the firm. Come on, come on. So some examples of the matters, okay, that the firm will consider whether the firm will consider or the firm needs to consider to understand whether the firm has the capabilities or not. Come on, guys, come on quickly. What are such matters that the firm needs to consider? Yes, Yukta, you will be getting whether the firm has reached on to the next level. Good, Prajwal. Previous track record. Good, Mohammed. Ratios for the resources. Okay, good, Charu. Client's internal control, Prajwal, is not with respect to the resources, competency, and time of the firm. It is with related to the client. But what we need, like, before accepting, okay, I understand client's internal control will play a good amount of role to draw the, audit plan in detail. But before even accepting, how will you check whether you can, deliver the service to the client or not? That is something I'm looking here. How will you check? How will you check? That is very important to understand. And in real life also, we do understand, we ask these questions in real life also. Very good, Prajwal. If the client has come near to the deadline, very, very good. sufficient personnel, good mancha. Okay, let us understand this. So the question was, provide some examples. Okay, provide some examples of the matters that the firm needs to consider in order to understand whether the firm has capabilities, competency, time, and resource to undertake a new engagement or from a new or an existing client. Okay, to undertake a new engagement from the new or existing client. Okay, and the firm reviews the specific requirement, and what are the requirement that they need to review of the engagement, existing partners, staff profiles at all relevant levels. So what are those things that firm needs to consider? That was the question. Now let us see the answer. The matters that the firm concludes whether to be included or not, or matter to be considered to understand whether they should they have the competency, capability, and resource. So first is, firm personnel have knowledge of the relevant industry or the subject matter. For example, you got the audit of Reliance Energy Limited, or something on the similar line, Adani Energy, Adani Green Energy. So first of all, do you have the knowledge of the relevant industry or not? That is very important to understand whether you have the knowledge of relevant industry or not. Second, firms personnel having experience with the relevant regulatory or reporting requirements or ability to gain necessary skills and knowledge effectively. Kind of, let's say, for example, you are going for the audit of an insurance company. Whether your team has the knowledge that, okay, experience about the relevant regulatory, that is IRDA, their reporting requirements, can the ability, can, the personnel get or understand the necessary, knowledge with respect to auditing the insurance entity? Can they get that knowledge in a shorter duration quickly, or what time they require? Okay, so these are the few questions that is required to be asked. Third, whether the firm has sufficient personnel with the necessary capabilities and competency. Now, very good thing is personnel. We need to understand whether, you know, like, okay, having skills, having knowledge of relevant industry is good. But after all, I need personnel that they should be having normal knowledge also. So everyone is not an expert, but within the team. But I need a good team, a good amount of personnel to discharge my engagement. Whether experts are available if needed. Individuals meeting the criteria and eligibility requirement to perform the engagement quality control review are available where applicable. Means engagement quality control reviewer partner is there or not. The firm would be able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline. What if the statutory for the statutory audit, the company has came to you, okay, please perform the statutory audit. In 2 days, we have a board meeting. You need to submit the audit report within 2 days. Will you accept? No, because the deadline, reporting deadline is very much near. I don't have a time to perform the procedure. So I need to consider what is the reporting deadline. So these are some matters that could be considered while considering or evaluating the capabilities, competency, time, and resource to undertake a new engagement. Any doubts? Any doubts? So that is the client acceptance and continuance that we discussed now. Now, coming back to the next one is the human resource. Okay. The human resource portion of the SQC one. Now, what is the human resource area and what is requirement of SQC1 with respect to the human resource area? So again, whenever I say, SQC1 requirement with respect to a particular area, the SQC1 will say that, okay, establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance. So firm needs to establish policies and procedures, and what they should do, they should be designed to provide a reasonable assurance now reasonable assurance regarding what? Reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel with the capabilities, competency, commitment to ethical principles, commitment to ethical principles, okay, and why I need this personnel to perform the engagement in accordance with my professional standards, regulatory and legal requirements. Professional standards, legal and regulatory requirements. And to enable the firm to issue the reports that are appropriate. And to enable the firm and engagement partners to issue the reports. Issue the appropriate reports, I will say. Simple. We have already seen this area. What we have seen is competency, capability, how to understand the competency, capability of the personnel, whether the firm has a sufficient personnel or not. So who needs to establish? The firm needs to establish. And why? So that it should provide a reasonable assurance that it has a reasonable assurance regarding what? These are the questions that I'm asking and I'm getting the answer from the SQC1. Okay, reasonable assurance regarding that it has sufficient personnel. And why I need sufficient personnel? To perform the engagement in accordance with the professional, legal and regulatory requirement and to enable the firm, this is both why, and to enable the firm engagement and engagement partner to issue the appropriate reports. Simple. Now, this will include my recruitment, such policies will address to area like recruitment, performance evaluation, capability, competency, career development, promotion, compensation, retention, benefits, employment benefits, a lot of things. But particular these human resource policy include all these areas. In that case, I also need to see the firm should assign responsibility to each of the engagement partner within the firm itself. Okay, now what is your responsibility? And that there should be policies. There should be policies within the firm itself to guide, all that. Okay, this is the role and responsibility of the engagement partner. Engagement partner now, whenever someone is selected as an engagement partner, it should be ensured that the engagement partner has appropriate and sufficient knowledge, and it should be that engagement partner himself understand what is his roles and responsibility. Any doubt with this? So there is a question: what if an individual is conducting an audit and the due date has expired or passed? Will the auditor have any options? Will the auditor have any options in the current scenario? See, if there are repercussions if you do not file on the due date. But the question is why there was a delay. Delay on account, like on whose account there is a delay. That is required to be understood. Whether the delay is from the auditor's side or the delay is from client side. And which type of audit it is, that also plays a very important role. Tax audit, uh, statutory audit, GST audit. What type of audit it is, it's also a very important thing to understand. So we saw the human resource element, like the firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel with capabilities, competency, commitment, and ethical principles necessary to perform its engagement in accordance with the professional standards and regulatory and legal requirements. So we already understood this whole requirement, okay, with respect to HR thing. And in other areas also similar line of requirement is there. So you can refer, the notes quickly after the, when you want to revise. Okay. Any doubt with human resource? Any doubt with human resource? The next one is EQCR, Engagement Quality Control Review. So the firm is required to establish policies and procedures to provide reasonable assurance that it provides an objective evaluation of the significant judgment made by the engagement team and the conclusion reached in formulating such reports. Okay, such policies and procedure require an engagement quality control review for all the audit of for listed entities. Means SQC1 is saying that for all the listed entity, you should have a EQC, engagement quality control review. And the policy and procedure should set out the criteria against which all audits or other audits review of historical financial information and other assurance related services other than the audit of listed companies, okay, should be evaluated to determine whether an engagement quality control review should be performed and or not. So two things: one, whether an EQCR is required. It is required for the listed entity, but for the other entity, whether the EQCR is required. If yes, then the policy should set out the criteria which engagement are required to be collected for EQCR. Kind of. So you can say this provides that which engagements to be considered for QCR other than audit of listed entities. Okay. And then the firm's policies and procedure require an engagement quality control review for all engagement meeting the criteria established in compliance with paragraph subparagraph B. This one. So once you set the criteria, which audits are required to be considered for the EQCR, you need to perform the EQCR. That is the requirement with the engagement quality control review. And the last requirement for SQC1 is with respect to monitoring and documentation. Now, what SQC1 says with respect to monitoring and documentation, that the firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that the policies and procedure relating to the system of quality control are relevant, adequate, operating effectively, and complied in practice. Now, which are these policies and procedures? The policies and procedures that we understood, all these policies and procedures I'm talking about that we discussed till now. Now, all these policies and procedures should be relevant, adequate, operating effectively, okay, and complied in practice. So, policies regarding leadership, ethical requirement, acceptance of client, human resource, engagement quality control review, they all should be relevant, adequate, operating effectively, and complied in practice. These policies and procedures, such policies and procedures should include an ongoing consideration and evaluation of firm's system of quality control. So when you prepare policies on leadership, ethical requirement, ANC, human resource, EQC, and continuous monitoring of all other policies, that whole system of policies, the combination of policies is known as your quality control, system of quality control. Together, this whole is the system of quality control. Now, there should be, again, the system of quality control should be evaluated on a continuous, on an ongoing basis. That's the requirement of SQC1. That ongoing consideration and evaluation of firm system of quality control should be done. And a periodic inspection of the selection of completed engagements means you are required to see continuously the compliance with the policies and procedures, plus take some audit engagement and check whether the policies and procedures have been complied with or not. Prajwal, from where you are referring to this technology and software, can you just provide me background on this so that I can understand the question? Okay, so this is a requirement of SQC1 that you create the policy and procedure at each header, like leadership, ethical, ANC, human resource, engagement, quality control. Plus, you monitor all those policies from time to time. You perform the testing whether those policies are adequate, operating effectively, complied in practice or not. And there should be ongoing monitoring whether the whole system of quality control is appropriate or not. So that's the whole SQC1. Any doubt with SQC1? Any doubt? No? No doubts? If no doubts, then let's do one thing. Let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we will gather back and continue the next standard on quality control. That is SA 220, quality control for an audit of financial statement. Again, on the similar line, there is nothing much difference with respect to the SQC one. A few things that we need to understand here. Okay, so let's take a quick 10-minute break, and after the break, we'll gather back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Let's continue the session. Okay. So I could see a few of you have posted about the notes of the chapter 19. So notes of chapter 19 have already been uploaded. You can go on to the BOS portal and they will be available. And chapter 1 notes will be available once we complete the topic. Okay. Today. So chapter 19 notes are available online. I request Charu to check once again if it is possible, they are available. Uh, Charu, I have noted your doubt about, chapter 19, clause 4, part 1, schedule 1. What I'll do is, as of now, I'll park this with me. Reason because I have to complete essay 220. What I will do is either a start of the next lecture, okay, in the start, or if I get time today itself, then today. I'll take up your doubt, but I have noted your doubt and I'll definitely get it. I'll definitely answer your question on that. Okay. Now, we have to discuss about SA 220. Okay. What is SA 220? How it is different from SQC 1? That is a very interesting thing to understand. Now, when you read SA 220, okay, when you read the SA 220, it talks about the requirement, okay, that is required to be followed. SA 220 talks about requirement regarding, you can say, when you perform the audit. So, let's say, for example, you have received one client, your friend. Your friend asked you to perform the audit. Now, if your friend asked you to perform the audit, by performing the audit, you are required to follow some of the standards. Okay, standards on auditing, we usually call them. And one of such standard is SA 220 that you will follow while performing the audit. But when I talk about SQC1, it is applicable at the firm's level. Means SQC1 has a wider application compared to SA 220. If you read the responsibility, scope and objective of the standard, so each and every standard has the scope and responsibility. So what the scope and objective says about SA 220? So SA 220 scope is responsibilities of auditor regarding the quality control procedure for an audit of financial statement. But when you read the scope of SQC, it says that SQC provide guidance at a firm's responsibility for a system of quality control for audit and review of historical financial information and for other assurance related services and engagement. So SQC is talking about system of quality control, guidance regarding firm's system of quality control. Okay. And when I talk about SA 220, it is talking about responsibility of the auditor regarding the quality control procedure for audit of financial statement. Two different things. One, SQC talking about system of quality control within the firm. SQC, sorry, not, yeah, but on the same line, SA 220 talks about responsibility with respect to audit of financial statement. Okay. So it also addresses responsibility of the engagement quality control reviewer. And when I talk about objective, the objective here is to implement the quality control procedure at the engagement level to provide reasonable assurance that the audit complies with the professional standards, regulatory and legal requirements. The audit report issued is in appropriate circumstances. Again, SQC at the firm's level, SA 220 at the engagement level. So if I talk about the firm, This is the system of quality control. Okay, system of quality control within the firm. Yeah, firm system of quality control. Okay. Now, when I talk about SA220, now this system of quality control in SQC is applicable at firm level, but when I talk about a small portion, you can say kind of a small portion of this, or you know, quality control for audit of FS. Now, this is engagement wise. This is firm wise. Now, this is as per SA 220 applicable to each and every engagement. SQC1 is kind of, you can say, is bigger in terms because it is applicable at the firm's level, talking about firm's quality control. But SA220 talks about when you are performing audit, what quality control procedures you should have. So, what quality control procedures you should have while performing audit, and that is the SA220. Okay, that is the SA220 because SA220 talks about engagement level thing. So understand the difference between both. One side I'm talking about firm, another side I'm talking about the engagement. One side I'm talking about whatsoever engagement is there within the firm from firm's point of view. Second side, I'm talking about only one particular area, that's the engagement of order. Even SA220, provides guidance with respect to when you see the wordings. SA220 is something, it is on line of SQC1. So I can say kind of, similar nature in wordings, but in a smaller scope. So on same line with a smaller scope, kind of. So SQC once is a bigger one, and on the same model, SA220 is there on a similar lines, but with a limited or restricted scope, kind of, or specific scope rather than smaller. I would say specific scope. Okay. Now, can I say that okay, firm contains an engagement also, and that's why SA220 is subject to SQC1? Answer is yes. What I mean by that, whatever guidance is given under SA220 is required to be followed in connection with SQC1. Okay, because when you will perform an audit, you have to follow SA220, but at the same time, the firm has to follow SQC1 while performing the audit. So, for an audit of financial statement, SQC1 and SA220 both will be applicable. Okay. Now, when I talk about SA 220, SA 220 is quality control for an audit of financial statement. We saw the scope objective which are on the similar lines of SQC1. SA 220 provides you five categories of heads wherein you need to have the quality control procedure. That is the leadership responsibility, acceptance and continuance of client relationship, engagement performance, engagement quality control review, monitoring and documentation. Whereas SQC1, if you see, has something more, that is ethical requirements, that is additional, human resource, that is additional, because human resource ethical requirements are monitored at the firm level. At the individual level, it becomes your leadership responsibility and engagement performance and acceptance and client continuance. So remember, in when we were discussing about acceptance and client continuance, we were talking about personal. Same thing we were talking about in human resource at a larger level. So in SQC1, we have these two additional things, but in SA 220, we have these five heads. Now, what SA 220 says that similar lines, on the similar lines, SA 220 also says that the engagement partner shall take the leadership responsibility for the overall quality of audit. The same we saw in SQC1. The engagement partner shall remain alert for the evidence of non-compliance with relevant ethical requirements by the engagement team members, and in case of non-compliance shall take appropriate action. Again, on the similar lines of SQC1. Then engagement partner shall form a conclusion on the compliance with independence requirement that apply to the audit engagement. In SQC1, we saw the independence requirement in detail. We saw the ethical requirement in detail. Okay, this ethical one in detail. Independence in detail. In SA 220, there are few things which are mentioned that about the responsibility of engagement partner. That engagement partner has to comply, has to see compliance with the relevant ethical requirements. Now, ethical requirements again, if you need to refer to broadly, you need to go to SQC1. When I say independence requirement, if you need to refer to the broadly, you need to go to SQC1. Or in other words, you can say that I'll explain with an example. SA 220 says engagement partner shall review or ensure compliance with two things. Let's say, for example, Technical error at my end. I got disconnected. Apologies for that. There was a blue screen error. Okay. So I was discussing about SQC1 and SA220. Okay. What I was discussing is when I talk about SA220, let's say engagement partner shall review compliance with the ethical requirements, and he is required to review compliance with the independence requirement. Okay, so that is the role of engagement partner. Now, the question comes is with respect to engagement partner is that how he should do that. Let's say I am the engagement partner. How I am required to review the ethical compliance with the ethical requirements. How should I do that? Okay, responsibility setting is something coming from SA220. SA220 is setting up the responsibility. Okay, but when I talk about SQC1, SQC1 is kind of also setting up responsibility of firm. So SQC1 what says is firm's responsibility. Okay, that firm shall design. Again, the words we saw in SQC1 was design policies and procedures. Now, engagement partner can use these policies and procedures in order to check compliance with these requirements. So, engagement partner has to use, or it can be kind of guiding guiding path or something like that for engagement partner. Those policies and procedures. These policies and procedures engagement partner has to use or can be a guiding path wherein by using these policies by by following these policies he can ensure the requirements are fulfilled with respect to ethical and independence matter. Okay, so that is something you understand the difference between SA220 and SQC1. Also, SA220 on the similar lines guides some at some places that okay, how the engagement partner should review the requirement. Let's say, for example, when I talk about independence requirement, what engagement partner should do with the independence requirement. So, engagement partner is required to obtain relevant information from firm applicable, where applicable from network firms also to identify and evaluate circumstances that is creating threat to independence. So he needs to understand whether there is any threat to independence. Second, he needs to evaluate information on the basis of identified breaches, if any, on the firm's independence policies. Again, see the reference we are bringing up firm's independent policy, which is designed as per SQC1. So he needs to evaluate the information based on firm's policy. Okay, to determine whether there is any threat and the third one to take appropriate actions. Now, how he will take actions? For actions, we have already seen that SQC1 says that to firm that please draft something, have a policy and procedure in place that can help, okay, that can help with the process for dealing with non-compliance. We saw this, that have a policy and procedure in place which can address the matter on process for dealing of non-compliance. Now, the engagement partner under SA 220 is required to follow that process when he identifies such threat. So take appropriate action to eliminate such threat. Okay, clear? So that is something with respect to the leadership and independence requirement. Now coming to the client acceptance and continuance. Now, when I talk about client acceptance and continuance, again, so the role of engagement partner here is to be satisfied that appropriate procedures regarding the client acceptance and continuance have been followed. What is the appropriate procedure over here? Appropriate procedure will be the procedures that are defined by, you can say, the policies and procedures as per SQC1. That is an appropriate procedure. Okay, that is an appropriate procedure. Second, if the engagement partner obtains information that would cause the firm to decline the audit engagement, then the engagement partners and the firm shall take necessary actions. How to take necessary actions? As per the policies and procedures defined as per SQC1. The engagement partner shall ensure that the engagement team and the auditor expert have appropriate competency capabilities. Same on the similar line of SQC1. Same on the line of SQC1. Clear? So, SQC1 somewhere helps to design the policies and procedures, whereas SA220 set up a responsibility of the engagement partner in case of an audit of financial statement. With respect to competency and capability of the whole team. Okay, with respect to capability and competency and capability of the whole team, we saw one of the question. We saw one of the question that what are the matters that are required to be considered in order to understand whether we have the capability, competency, and resource. Okay. On the similar line, if I say what matters are required to be understood or required to be considered by the engagement partner when he is evaluating the competency and capability of the whole team, is on the similar line. He has to understand practical experience, understanding of, how much understanding of professional standard and regulatory and legal requirements his team is having, whether team technical expertise, team's knowledge in relevant industry, ability to apply professional judgment, similar lines he has to do. Okay, so on similar lines of SQC1. Now the next requirement of SA220 is about engagement performance. So what it says that the engagement partner shall take responsibility for the direction, supervision, performance of audit engagement, and the appropriateness of the audit report. So it sets out the responsibility of the engagement partner. That engagement partner, you are responsible. That we have already discussed in SQC1 that you are responsible for the whole direction, supervision, and performance of audit. Okay, that you need to understand, how you need to direct, supervise, and perform the audit engagement. If I ask you, how will you supervise the audit engagement? Okay, let's say you are engagement partner. I ask you, please supervise the audit engagement. How will you supervise? What you will do to supervise the audit engagement? If I ask you that, okay, please supervise the audit engagement, what you will do to supervise the audit engagement? What supervision includes as per you? Hmm. Come on, guys. What will include in supervision? Quickly, come on. What you will include or what you will do while doing the supervision? Pretty easy. If I ask you, you have to supervise, what you will do? If I ask you to supervise, what you will do? Good, Charu. Very good. Come on, guys. Come on, quickly. Anyone with respect to what they will supervise? If I ask you from tomorrow, you are now, the auditor. If I ask you, okay, now you will be the, CA and you will be the engagement partner. How will you supervise the audit? How will you supervise the audit? Only one answer by Charu. That's it. Not good, guys. Not good. Okay. So when I say supervising, it includes, okay, supervising includes methods such as tracking the progress of the audit engagement. Simple. I will track the progress, what has been done in the audit. Considering the competency and capability of the individual members of the engagement team including whether they have sufficient time to carry out their work, whether they understand their instructions, what have been given to them, whether the work is being carried out in accordance with the planned approach and audit engagement, or along with the audit plan, how they are progressing, whether addressing significant matters arising during the audit engagement, considering their significance and modifying the planned approach appropriately. Means if I am, given a particular plan and if I identify any exception, am I, considering the impact of the exception on the plan, identifying matters for the consultation or consideration by more experienced team member during the audit engagement. Let's say, for example, if there is some query which, where I need to involve the senior, then the team member who is performing the work, then I need to identify such matters and whether I'm involving the senior team member or not. So these are some activities, which can be done or which are required to be done during supervision. Then, with respect to engagement performance, the engagement partner shall take responsibility for the reviews being performed in accordance with the firm's policies, firm's review policy and procedure. So when I say firm's review policy and procedure, for that I have SQC1 guiding me that okay, how the firm should design the policy and procedure with respect to the review. Then the engagement team taking the appropriate consultation on difficult matters and contentious matter. So it is the responsibility of the engagement partner to ensure that the team is considering to take appropriate consultation on difficult matters. Understood? Any doubt? Okay. Then the next area is quality control review, EQCR. Okay. Now, what is the requirement of SA 220 with respect to EQCR? SA 220 says that for the audit of financial statement of listed entities, again, I am talking about listed entities, and those other audit engagement, if any, for which the firm has determined the engagement quality control review is required. So two areas, basically two type of audits you can say. One, for EQCR, there are two type of audits. One, listed entity. Second, there is as other audits, other audit engagements, for which the firm has determined that the engagement quality control review is required, or as per the firm's policy, EQCR is required. Now, wherever I talk about this particular term, firm's policy, I talk about SQC1, policy designed as per SQC1. So SA 220 says two type of entities which should be covered into the EQCR, listed and other audit engagement defined as per the policy designed as per SQC1. And for those audits which are covered under the EQCR, the engagement partner shall determine that the quality control reviewer has been appointed. So appointment of quality control reviewer. Second, discuss the significant matter arising during the audit and review with the reviewer. So discuss the matter with the reviewers. Third, not date the auditor report before the completion of review. Very important. So you are not required to date the audit report before completion of review. And when I say review, it's engagement quality control review. So you are not supposed to issue audit report until and unless the engagement quality control review is complete. If you issue a report where the engagement quality control review is not complete and you still sign the audit report, in that case, it could be scenario that you are professionally you might be grossly negligent, or you could be held professionally negligent in the case. So could be a critical case where you could be held under the professional misconduct because you did not follow the requirements of the standard. So there was an exception. Exception is that is you have not followed the generally accepted audit procedures and you issued audit report before completion of the review. You did not mention somewhere that is, and you could be held for the professional misconduct too. So understand the kind of, you can say, criticality of this particular topic. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? Okay. Now, also as per SA 220, engagement quality control reviewer is required to perform certain items or certain steps. What SA 220 says that the quality control reviewer or engagement quality control reviewer shall perform an objective evaluation of the significant judgments. So the engagement partner should discuss the matter, and then engagement quality control reviewer should objectively evaluate the significant judgments made, okay, by the engagement team and conclusion reached in formulating the audit report. And that should involve kind of discussions, discussing significant matters with the engagement partner, reviewing the financial statement and audit report, review of selected audit documentation, evaluate the conclusions reached. So the engagement partner, and the engagement quality control reviewer together has to perform EQCR. Means engagement partner's responsibility is to provide the details, discuss the matters. Engagement quality control reviewer's responsibility is to discuss the significant matters, review the financial statements, review the selected audit documentation, and evaluate the conclusions reached. In case of the listed entity, okay, the reviewer shall consider evaluation of the firm's independence, and for that the firm will have policy, okay, firm's independence policy, as per SQC 1. Then whether appropriate consultation has been taken, audit documentation with respect to the significant judgment, whether the team has documented, selected, documented and reviewed the work performed in relation to the significant judgments made and in support of the conclusions reached. So if there is a critical judgment, if there is a critical, area that has been was under discussion and could have impacted the audit report, whether whatever documentation is being done is appropriate or not, that is something is required to be checked into. Then again, the monitoring and documentation requirement under SA 220. But before that, let's understand one more area, that is a difference of opinion. Now you tell me what should be the scenario, how the difference of opinion should be resolved. Let's say, for example, let's say Mr. A is the engagement partner on audit of XYZ limited listed entity. Okay. So engagement partner is there on for the XYZ listed entity. Now, Mr. A, and as per the firm's policy, Mr. B was appointed as a engagement quality control reviewer. Again, for the audit on the audit of XYZ limited listed entity. Okay. Now, in the current case, let's say, for example, with respect to one of the warranty provision. So for one of the warranty provision, there is a difference of opinion. So Mr. A, engagement partner, says warranty provision should be, let's say, for example, 10 crores. The estimated calculation should be 10 crores. EQCR, that is Mr. B, is saying the estimated calculation should be rupees 15 crores. And actual management has booked at rupees 2 crores. Okay, so on one side there is Mr. A, engagement partner, on other side you have Mr. B, EQCR. Mr. A is saying no, it should be 10 CR. But Mr. B is saying no, it should be 15 CR. Now, whose response? Now, who will prevail here? You tell me. Let's say, for example, if I say it should Mr. B should prevail. Okay, like he's the engagement quality control partner. Then what about Mr. A's 10 CR estimation or the audit team's estimation? And management has something different, altogether different approach. Management is saying that warranty should be only 2 CR. So now here we have a difference of opinion. This is a scenario known as a difference of opinion. Now, what should be done in this particular scenario when you identify there is a difference of opinion? What you will do in this whole scenario? How you will resolve this difference? How you will resolve this difference. What steps you will take or what you will do to resolve the difference of opinion. Very important, guys, very important. And this happens a lot of time. Trust me, this happens a lot. So how will you resolve the difference? On what basis you will resolve the difference? Anyone? How will you resolve the difference over here? So I'm saying Mr. A, engagement partner says estimation 10 CR for the warranty. Mr. B, EQCR says estimation 15 CR. And management has booked 2 CR. Who is correct? How will you resolve the difference? Come on, guys, quickly. What you will do when there is a difference? Okay, tell me the requirement of SA 220 when there's a difference of opinion and the requirement of SQC 1. Very important. It could be a question. Like, let's say if this is a 4 mark or 5 mark question in exam, what you will do? Should I listen to Mr. A, engagement partner, because he is doing the audit? Should I listen to Mr. B, who is a EQCR? Or should I say, no, you both are wrong? I will go with the management's estimate, that is 2 CR. What should I do? What should be the appropriate way here? See, for the difference of opinion, okay, SA 220 says that okay, for difference of opinion, SA 220 says that. Now, first we will discuss SA 220. SA 220 says that if the difference of opinion arises, okay, I usually call difference of opinion as a DOP. Please do not use these abbreviations in exam, they are not allowed. This is for quickly writing and for the preparation of summary. So, as per SA 220, in case of DOP, okay, in case of DOP, Now, DOP, difference of opinion, can be within engagement team or can be between engagement partner or EQCR, engagement partner versus engagement quality control reviewer, or could be between uh, engagement team and people to whom they are consulting. Engagement team versus experts consulting. Now, in all these three situations, SA 220 says that if any of the difference of opinion is there, or these are between these people or these scenarios, in that case, the engagement team, okay, the engagement team shall follow the firm's policies and principles for dealing and resolving such difference of opinion. So, engagement team shall follow the firm's policy and procedures on DOP. Now, that policy and procedure on DOP is something, built as per SQC1. Now, what SQC1 says with respect to difference of opinion, policy and procedure? SQC1 says that firm should have policy and procedure. So, firm should establish policy and procedure for dealing the differences and for resolving difference of opinion within the engagement team or those with consulted or where applicable between the engagement partner and the EQCR. Plus, it says that you need to document the conclusion reached. Also, also uh, the SQC1 says that till the time you draft a policy which should have that, till the time difference of opinion is not resolved. Okay. The report should not be issued. So, first resolve the issue or resolve the difference and then issue the audit report. Also, it says that when a firm is using a suitable qualified external professional to conduct the engagement quality control review, there are chances that the difference of opinion can happen. Okay. In that case, the firm shall establish procedures to resolve such difference. For example, by consulting with other practitioner, firm, professional body, or regulatory body. So you can involve another practitioner. Firm can involve or firm can consult. Consult would be appropriate word. with another practitioner or firm or a professional in that regard, or regulatory body if required. And this particular policy should provide clear guidance, clear guidelines, okay, as to the successive steps that should be taken. Okay, clear guidelines regarding these steps to be taken when such difference of opinion is identified. Okay, for the resolution of such difference of opinion. So that is something coming from SQC1 about the policy and procedure. SA 220 talks about the policy and procedure. SQC1 talks about what should be the policy and procedure, how policy and procedure should be defined. So this is how SA 220 and SQC1 works hand in hand. In case of difference of opinion. Now coming back to SA 220 with respect to monitoring. Now SA 220 says that an effective system of quality control includes a monitoring process designed to provide the firm with a reasonable assurance that its policies and procedures are appropriate. Okay. With respect to, they are appropriately working, adequate, and operating effectively. That is a monitoring requirement. And it says that the audit partner and the engagement partner is required to consider the results of firm's monitoring process as the evidence as evidenced in the latest information. So for example, let's say for example, I am the engagement partner. Now I need to consider, that whatever process within the firm it has been set up, whether that is working appropriately, whether that is relevant, that is adequate, operating effectively. Okay. If not, if I identify deficiencies, then I need to understand how the deficiencies will impact the audit. If I have not identified the deficiency, then I can say, okay, I haven't identified the deficiency, means the policies, procedures, and the system of quality control designed within the entity or the firm is appropriately working, is operating effectively. Now, if that is operating effectively, then in that case, by some of the issues are reduced. For example, issues with respect to acceptance and contingence means I can say, okay, the ANC is being followed appropriately throughout the organization. Now I can rely whatever documentation or whatever information is there with respect to the ANC in the company or in the firm. Okay. So monitoring is a very, very critical thing that an engagement partner needs to understand. Okay. while performing or while discharging his duties as an engagement partner for an audit of a financial statement. Then it comes the requirement of documentation over and above the monitoring. And what documentation requirement is that the auditor shall document issue identified with respect to compliance with ethical requirements, including independence. The conclusion reads regarding the acceptance and continuance of client relationship. Okay. Then the nature and scope of conclusions of consultation. If you see, this documentation requirement is nothing but whatever we have discussed in here, that is again reiterated in the form of documentation. That okay, you did the exercise on one hand, I am fine. Engagement partner accepted the responsibility, I am fine. But there should be documentation to that also. So that is the last leg, that it says that whatever you have done, please document. Even it provides the documentation requirement for the EQCR, that the procedures required for the review that has been performed. The EQCR needs to document that what procedures he has performed for engagement quality control review, or in order to perform the engagement quality control review. Second, he needs to document whether review has been completed on or before the report of audit, before the audit report date. Means it should not be the scenario that the engagement partner has issued the audit report before EQCR signs this particular review report. And lastly, there should not be any matter which should be unresolved. Means no open difference of opinion. Everything should be closed. So that is the documentation responsibility upon the engagement quality control reviewer. Clear? Any questions, any doubt? Yes, Sumit. The SA 220 is only applicable for the audit of listed entities or other audit engagement as per the firm's policy where the EQCR is mandatory. Oh, sorry. It is applicable for the audit, all the audits, not only for the audit of listed entity. EQCR is applicable for the listed and other audit engagement. But when I say SA 220, it is applicable for all the audits, not only for listed. So SA 220, quality control for an audit of financial statement, which includes all audits of all entities. Financial statement means general purpose financial statement. Okay. So I can say when I'm doing audit of a general purpose financial statement, any kind of audit, yes, SA 220 will be applicable in that scenario. Any doubt? Any questions? Okay. Charu, I will, if no further doubts are there, let me take one doubt from the professional ethics topic. Charu, with respect to your doubt, that is in clause 4 of schedule 1 part 1, there is one exception that it contains that the including a resident, but for his residency abroad would be entitled to register as a member to be eligible as a partnership. See, majoritarily, when you see the provision for any person to be required to be admitted as a member, he has to be in practice. Okay. Now there are requirements that he has to be practiced within India. Okay. In that case, if a person who is practicing outside India and if he is entitled to be registered as a member, in that case, that person, even though he is outside India, even though he's residing outside India or he's not present in India, but till the time he's entitled to be registered as a member, in that case he will be eligible to be for the specified person, or he can be I can enter partnership with that particular member. So including a resident who for his residence abroad means kind of a resident who is residing abroad would be entitled to be registered as a member. Means if he is entitled to be registered as a member, then there is no issue. That person becomes eligible for partnership. I hope I'm clear. Any doubts? Any doubt, Charu, on this, or anyone else? Any doubt? No, no doubts. Okay, guys. If no doubts, then let me proceed. Okay. See what you need to do next. A kind of next steps for you guys, and I want each and every one you to do. Okay. For chapter 1, quality control. What you need to do is first read the study material fully. Read the study material. Second, solve the questions at the end of study material. Plus other questions, you can take it from MTP, RTP, okay, or suggested answers, or you can take it from MCQ booklet. So try to solve other questions along with the questions at the end of study material. Then third, if you want, you can mark important topics within the chapter. And based on this important topics, prepare summary notes of the topic. I have prepared the summary notes, but if you will prepare the summary notes in your own words, trust me, it will be really helpful for you guys. These summary notes are available. These both will be available to you. It's not the case it will not be. These both will be available to you. But I want you also to prepare a summary note, or to understand, because what will happen is when you will write in your own words, you will be able to understand a day before of exam. Okay, a day before of exam, you will be able to understand what summary notes you have prepared. Plus, you will be able to remember the topic. Just give me a minute. You will be able to remember the topic. You will be able to remember the content, whatever it is there, and you will be, able to recollect whatever summary you have prepared easily. Right? I have seen some of my friends in CA final days. What they used to do is they used to borrow the summary prepared by someone else. They used to take out the Xerox and they used to just scan it through. But in the day before exam, that takes more time because Sometimes you have a different handwriting. So it's difficult to understand, what is this, why I have written this, what that means. Okay. Or sometimes it is something, you have to go in detail because you have not written the summary. So you have to go in detail. Okay. What this means. These three words means what. So it's better to prepare your own summary than to rely upon someone else. Although my notes will be available, you can refer these notes and prepare your own summary by referring these notes. After this, ask the doubts. And this particularly, try to complete at least within 3 days. Otherwise, what will happen is you will start forgetting whatever we have discussed. You will start, forgetting, okay, now I don't remember what discussions happened in the lecture. You might have go to, to the lecture again. The recordings are available, but what will be the scenario is you might have go to the lecture again. Might need to see the lecture again. Again you have to invest 3 hours. See, your each and every hour is valuable. You have to utilize in a such a way that there should be less repetition. For that, whatever you have listened today, whatever class you have attended today, for that, prepare it today itself. Whatever things I'm saying, that read the study material, solve the questions, mark important topics, prepare summary notes, and answer the doubt. Okay, take it 2 more days, 3 more days, 2 to 3 days or 4 days, but complete that within 4 days. Reason because it will really, really help you, and it will, simultaneously close your subject. It is not something that you have to keep it till the end of last 6 months. No, immediately with the completion of the lectures, your subject will also get closed. Then you just need more practice. That's it. Yes, Charu, those notes will be available. These notes will be available immediately after the lecture. I would like to understand, like, if you are able to see the notes of the professional ethics topics or not. If no, then okay, let me know because those notes are already available. I have uploaded them. Just let me know if those are not available. If you are not able to see them. Okay. Also, one very important request I have to make to you guys that please provide your feedback to me or to the various ways which are there on the BOS app or something like on the online BOS portal. Please provide your feedback. When I receive all the feedbacks, I come to know what I need to do for you guys additionally. Your feedback is valuable and important for us. Okay, that literally guides us. Okay, this is something you need additional. This is something you need a change. This is something where you need something more from us. And based on that, we can actually, provide you that. These classes are for your benefit. These lectures are for your benefit. Please take full advantage of these lectures and classes. Even you can, spread to your friends, provide the information about these classes to your friends, to your, colleagues who are into CA final. Okay. And inform them, okay, these are the classes going on. They can also attend. And I don't think so there are any charges for this. Okay. So please, follow the next steps. That is very, very important after each and every session. So there is one doubt. In the previous version of module, there is a summary of all essay in first chapter. But in the new model, summary is not there. Do we have to study all the essays? Yes. All the essays are required to be studied in detail. It is not something that, if there is a summary, then you need to go or you need to look into the summary or the details will not, the question will not come from that. All the essays are applicable. But in study module, you will see some essays have only summary. Reason because those essays are already covered in the intermediate. Detailed material for them already been covered in the intermediate. And to avoid the repetition, only a summary has been kept it here. But all the essays are applicable. Any other doubt, guys? Any doubts? There is one question. Do we need to remember the number of essay? Yes, absolutely. Yes, you need to remember the essay number, essay name. That is very important. Okay. If no further doubts, then thank you guys. Thank you for attending the session. In the next section, I will continue with the next chapter. Okay. And I'll, in the next session or with respect to the next chapter itself, be ready. Read in advance at least. General auditing principles and auditor's responsibility. Have us read like SA 240, SA 230, what is the requirement? Okay. Then SA 250, 60, 299, 402. We need to cover all these essays. So at least try to give a read to the summary which is available. Okay, guys? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next lecture. Ashok ji.